This is the Sentinel event for this council. Let me start by saying that I have the privilege of being asked to chair this meeting today. I am Art Rodriguez. I'm Central Vice Chair for the California Democratic Renters Council. Madam Chair Mari Perez-Ruiz is intending to make it. One of the fights that that renters find themselves dealing with is being able to get resources to be able to fight for housing justice, and that's exactly where she's at. And some of those things can't wait. I'm sure she's gonna provide us with the details on it, and from what I'm hearing, it's pretty good. And then to Larry's point, yeah, we've seen some of that response on social media. It could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing. Good thing that folks are paying attention and responding. Bad thing is that it's happening because so many families, so many people are suffering and not sure that next month we're gonna have. I'm in a place right now that I don't know if I'm gonna have a home next week. So with that being said, I think first matter there is just to approve the agenda. I think Madam Chair will be able to share that on the screen and with the entertaining motion to approve the agenda here.
So move.
So moved by Larry. Do we have a second? Esther Malkin's raised her hand. I see that. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Madam Secretary, at this point I wish to formally close the nomination period for officers. Is that something we can do now?
A second.
Yep. So we can do that.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're good there. Just to give us a little bit of room to work out those details between right now, the first part of the business meeting, and the second part of the officer elections meeting. That would totally allow us a little bit of time for Madam Secretary to really organize that bit. And again, I want to thank Alfred for just their organizing abilities and keeping this council on track. So first item, welcome. I think Alfred's keeping roll call on who's attending the meeting so far. And then do we have minutes to approve?
Point of order, Art.
Yes, Larry.
I recall we did have a policy of not allowing AIs into the meeting, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. If you have a AI assistant, I just ask that you tell them to go home. Then it's not that we're discriminating or anything. It's just
How can you even tell?
It
shows up on the list. I got it taken care
of. Okay, thank you, Alfred. Thank you, Larry. Okay, are the minutes up? Let's see here.
Let me bring them up.
I'll let you, Madam Chair, have the floor.
All right.
Madam Secretary, sorry.
So here are the minutes from our last meeting, which was in December. We got our updates. We talked about how we did in the November 2024 elections. Of the 6 people endorsed for state legislature, 5 of them had won. Pretty good. Unfortunately, we didn't win on Prop 33. And then we got some updates from around the state. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
I hear Esther Malkin's motion, then seconded by Larry Gross. Any discussion on the matter? Hearing none. All those ayes, let it be known.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? Seeing none, motion passes. Wonderful. Okay. Well, you continue to have the floor there, Alfred.
Sure. So thank you everybody for coming to our meeting. We are at over 300 members strong. There's more coming in every day. And close to 800 people on our mailing lists. And of course, people are always welcome to join. We have a fee waiver as well. You can find both our Act Blue and our fee waiver on our website, which I'll drop in the chat, cademrenterscouncil.org. Otherwise, after the meeting, you'll get a couple of emails. One of them will come from MailChimp, and it will have a recording in case you have to leave early. It will also have info on all the people running for our board for the upcoming year. And you'll also, if you are a paid up member, you will also get an email from OPA-Vote, which will be the link that you use to actually vote for the board. And you will have until next Wednesday, June 4th at 9 p.m. to cast your ballot. So keep an eye out for those emails. They'll probably go out sometime around 10 o'clock tonight.
Thank you. Do we have Vinnie Bacon?
I am here.
The floor is yours for the treasurer's report.
Okay, well, I'm going to take the liberty of combining. I'm running for membership or for treasurer, and I'm going to combine my little speech for treasurer by showing you what a good job I've done as treasurer, and that I would like to continue doing so. Our current balance is $5,294.08. I'll put that in the chat for you, Alfred, so you don't have to remember it. Our system is set up now when people join up automatically through Act Blue. It automatically goes into our bank account. That's resolved. We do have a credit card, and we're paying. The only real expense we have is about $25 a month for MailChimp, because we do have that many members that we can no longer use the free version. We also have a few checks. We rarely ever write checks. But anyway, things are running smoothly, and the Treasury basically runs itself. And we have enough money where we are not even paying a monthly maintenance fee. So all things are good, and I'm happy to be your treasurer, and hopefully will continue to be your treasurer. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Mr. Bacon. I do feel the pain of many tenant unions and tenant groups and being able to raise grassroots money. And this is totally possible by this membership. We don't got no corporate donors, no CAA money, no real estate lobby folks, or else that'd probably be like, a lot more zeros behind that. In true fashion of the Renters Council, and the purpose we kind of came together was to really bring the voice of tenant organizations, tenant unions to one space in the party, so that the party is well aware of the needs of the over 17 million renters in California. And so with that, we invite our colleagues and coalitions to come, and Housing Now, Housing Human Rights, many other groups that push and run and keep us updated and help us organize for tenant issues. Today, fortunately, we have Eddie Carmona. Normally, Francisco's here to give his update. I think he's on baby leave, which is awesome. And so, Eddie, thank you for agreeing a little last minute, but you were there. And so we appreciate you joining here, and we'll let you have the floor there. Take as long as you need, just not more than 10-15 minutes.
Got you. Thank you, Arturo. Thanks for the invite, everyone. As introduced, Eddie Carmona, I'm the Director of Organizing for Pico, California. Also a member of the Steering Committee for Housing Now. So representing Francisco as he is on paternity leave. Thankfully, got a little baby. So let me just give you a quick update on a couple of bills that Housing Now is sort of getting behind. Not sort of, they're actually getting behind. A lot of happenings since the suspense file deadline was last week. So we also now have a deadline of Friday, June 6th, which is basically when the bills that originated in their house of origin have to get out of that house. So we're on a tight timeline and deadline to get stuff moving. So thankfully, some of the bills got off the suspense file, and others obviously had issues. So let me start just with the one that we adore and we love, that we all got behind, the entire affordable housing movement and renters movement got behind, which was AB 1157, but the Affordable Rent Act by Ash Kalra. That one never made it to Judiciary Committee in the Assembly, had a tough path, which was partially what all of us who were co-sponsors, PICO, ACE, Housing Now, Public Advocates, we all knew it was going to be a tough go. Part of the goal was to create a bigger tent and also test some of these brand new legislators. So 2/3 of the legislature turned over. We wanted to identify some new champions and ensure that folks were supportive of a rent cap. As a reminder, the Affordable Rent Act would have taken the existing Tenant Protections Act of 2019 and changed the allowable annual rent increase from CPI, which was 5% with a max of 10. It would have cut it in half and made it a CPI plus 2% with a maximum of 5%. So that was the first element of it. Second one would have done expanded to single family rental homes. And then the third one would have removed the sunset date of 2030. So that one, great updates. We made it out of Housing Committee with no amendments, which is good. So we didn't have to take any amendments on that. Everything is still intact. We decided to pull the bill in judiciary, given we did not have the votes for it to move forward. So instead of taking a tough vote and going through that process, we decided to make it a 2-year bill, and we can bring it back January of 2026 to get through House of Origin and Judiciary Committee as well. So that's the update on that one. There's big efforts now between now and the end of the year by coalition partners to continue to push legislators who were squishy, non-committal, to do a lot of in-district work on that bill. So we are all working together, a lot of the grassroots organizations, ACE, PICO, Housing Now, and others are all joining together to make sure that we are moving the ball forward, and that the bill may have paused and is in sort of a 2-year status for now. And now it's time to do the groundwork and start really getting some of that support on the ground in district. So that's the update on 1157. AB 1165, which is Assemblymember Gibson's bill, the California Housing Justice Act. This also was a long shot, I will say. This is really kind of getting the state to commit long-term to sustain investment in affordable housing solutions and match the scale of the crisis. Excuse me, it would have required the development of a comprehensive state financing plan and secured ongoing funding to meet the governor's own goal of building 1 million affordable homes by 2030. And so that was a big piece that we knew, again, was going to be a tough, given the budget year that we're in, et cetera, et cetera. So Gibson decided to pull the bill because he didn't have support and the votes for it as we move forward. So I'm still waiting for a couple of responses. I kind of know why he pulled the bill. Again, this was a big sort of another symbolic bill that we pushed forward, coalition partners pushed forward, and Housing Now, given the campaign we had around building 1 million affordable homes by 2030. Again, using the governor's own language around that commitment early on. Next bill is AB 736, WICS, and the companion bill, SB 417, which is cabbled on the Affordable Housing Bond Act of 2026, $10 billion for affordable housing creation through a bond measure. PICO is a co-sponsor of that bill, so we're behind it. It's on a different timeline than the June 6th deadline because it's a bond measure and it requires a 2/3 vote in the legislature from both houses. So, so far, the good signal that we saw, one of the bright spots of the May revise, the governor's May revise, is he kind of informally endorsed a housing bond. So that's a good thing, sort of in many ways, just reading between the lines, him saying that there does need to be a bond measure that needs to support affordable housing. Big question mark on the dollar amounts right now. We're saying 10 billion. There's some conversations around a different number, slightly lower number than that. But that one's in good standing. The Senate's a tougher go. For some reason, the Senate is just a little bit more sort of technical, and the pro tem McGuire is being a little bit more, what's the word to say, difficult to moving any kind of bond measures forward and letting it get heard versus the Assembly where Wicks is the chair of appropriations. And don't expect a tough battle on the floor, but once it gets over to the Senate, we will see a little bit of a tougher time. We still got to fight, obviously, and make sure that we don't take anything for granted on the Assembly floor. But so far, it's looking good. Another tenant bill, AB 1248, Assemblymember Haney, ending the unfair junk fees on Renters Act. This, as many of you know, landlords, particularly the corporate landlords, are baking in junk fees, fees for applications, fees for water service, fees for trash, all these different types of fees that they're adding to try to skirt the Tenant Protections Act and find loopholes so that they can charge more rent. So this one would neutralize that, would prohibit hidden and excessive fees such as inflated application charges and quote unquote convenience fees. Some of them charge to pay your rent online, stuff like that. So this one's also headed to the floor as non-fiscal. There's currently amendments being taken and being written, but it needs to go to the floor next week. Obviously, it's in the amendment process. They're having some real sort of not challenges, I would say, but just kind of working on the amendments and trying to get them done. Submitted to Ledge Council and making sure all parties are happy. So still alive and well, still running, and expecting to take a vote before the deadline on Friday, June 6th. Last three that I'll mention, SB 52, Senator Perez, ending the Artificial Intelligence Rent Hikes Act. So this is, again, landlords colluding, using artificial intelligence to share data with other landlords so that they can inflate the market price of rents. And using AI to do that. So this one essentially would prohibit price fixing and will target exploitative tech practices that undermine fair market competition. And like I said, artificially inflate housing costs. So far, so good on this one. It got pulled off a suspense file. For those of you who know the legislative process, we say suspense file is where bills go to die. So thankfully it got pulled off of suspense and it's now headed to the floor next week in the Senate. Shoring up the votes, talked to the office today, and they're finalizing their vote count to see where we need to kind of plug in and put pressure on some members. SB 436, Senator Wahab, Keeping Californians Housed Act, protects tenants from avoidable evictions by allowing them to pay back rent or provide proof of pending rental assistance at any time or a court issues an eviction order. Basically allowing folks to pay back rent before evictions happen. Assuming that it hasn't gone to court yet. So far, so good. Again, another one that was keyed fiscal initially, but then got removed off of fiscal sort of tag, so it didn't have to go to suspense. And essentially, this one is moving forward. Again, spoke to the office today. They're feeling pretty confident about a floor vote, but they are shoring up votes to seeing if there's anybody that needs to be moved. But speaking to the office, they sounded pretty confident. Just in making sure that everybody goes forward. Then the last one, which is probably the one I have least information about, AB 801, which is bond to the California Community Reinvestment Act, establishes a statewide level community reinvestment act to ensure that state chartered banks and fintech companies actively invest in underserved communities. Essentially, this bill is projected to unlock $15 billion annually for affordable housing, economic development, and other critical communities across California. I did see it still in play, hasn't been pulled yet. I'm waiting for an update from the office to see where the bill stands. Wasn't able to get a hold of Haiti from the office today, who's a contact that I have, who's the LD in that office. So more to come on that one. And then the last one was a budget request. Obviously, there was no new funding for housing in the May revise. No funding for homelessness programs, the HAP program, the CAP program. The governor's proposed budget basically does not include any of that sustained funding that we've looked at and we've had over the last few years to prevent homelessness, to address homelessness, to provide rent credits, rental assistance, different things like that. So this one that Housing Now was behind was $103.5 million for the foreclosure intervention housing preservation program. Obviously that did not get funded in the May revise. So the big goal right now around getting bills off the House of Origin, next week, January 6th is the deadline, got to get them out of the House of Origin, and then continuing to advocate on the housing front with the governor's office, given that there wasn't really any specific additional funding for housing. I think some people are viewing his new sort of proposal for a new sort of department, a California Housing Department that would sort of centralize a lot of things. Some folks are doing that as a good thing, others are skeptical. That was sort of like the big splash that he made as it relates to housing and the May revise. So a lot of advocacy needs to get done between now and next week, and then also before the budget deadline, which is June 15th, the following week. So lots of Sacramento's going to be busy the next 2 weeks with our bills, with the budget process, anything that was fiscally triggered. And we're here for it. So we're going to be doing a lot of work, and appreciate all the support for all these bills. I'll stop there.
Well, I'm very glad that you came and joined us today. Yeah, it's been an interesting legislative year. The May revise is becoming interesting, and so many things happening. I do have a couple of questions, and we can entertain those. 2 questions, if you okay. Lynn.
Hi, Eddie, that was a great presentation. Do you have a list of all those bills? Because I was scribbling down the names.
I will. I'm actually gonna just put it in the chat box right now so y'all can take a look.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Eddie. I have one more question for you from Larry Gross.
Yeah, hi, Eddie. Thank you for the very comprehensive report. Lots going on. I wanted to bring your attention to 2 other bills that I don't know if on your radar. One is AB 246. That was by Brian, and originally it was sponsored by us, Coalition for Economic Survival and Housing for a Human Right. That would have had a rent freeze on LA area due to the fires. That didn't go anywhere, but at our suggestion, they changed the bill where it now prevents evictions if there's any interruption in Social Security benefits to tenants, which clearly is a very important bill. So, and the other bill is a bill that we've been opposing, and that's AB 698 by Buffy Wicks, that would have prevented transfer taxes being used to build affordable housing, and would have been retroactive, and would have could threaten the ULA that we got passed in Los Angeles to provide affordable housing and outreach. And so both of those bills, we got the LA County Democratic Party to endorse the good one and oppose the bad one. And I just wanted to know if that was on your radar and anything you're doing to.
It is, Larry. Thank you for that update too. There was a ton of bills for the LA wildfires around renter protections. We've been trying to monitor a lot of the ones that had problematic language. There's a couple from some of the folks from the LA delegation who are trying to work with around some of the same issues that you're referring to make sure that they remove language that would essentially circumvent some of the local policies. I think so, with best intentions, some of the legislators who are newer in the LA delegation have kind of just pushed stuff forward without getting into the weeds on the policy and some of the strengths. Example of like what you were saying with 698, right? Like ULA would undercut your ability for that. So we are monitoring a bunch of these things, and we as a collective, I should say, within Housing Now and the housing justice movement, many of you know we are very close to one another. We had flagged 698 as a collective housing justice sort of coalition. And we had made our voices heard on that to Wicks's office as well. So we do keep, there's a tons of bills that we're trying to monitor, but that is one that we are monitoring. And I think the last report I got on that one was that it was going favorably because labor was not happy. So
great. Thanks so much, Eddie.
No problem.
And thank you, Larry Gross, and thank you. And you guys some of you might know, some of you might not know, but Larry Gross has been integral to the formation of this council from the very beginning. And he's been a staunch fighter for renter rights and LA region and statewide, and he was kind of my consultant and Mari's and so was the board on how are we going to get this council created, right? We were trying to do the Renters Council. So thank you, Larry, for your work.
The checks in the mail, Art.
Yeah, along with mine, I'm sure. So I was seeing in the chat that I feel so rude. Welcome all you members that have been with us at the Renters Council, and we're not this fancy marketing group or campaign. We're a bunch of renters and community advocates and trying to make this work and really put in a good effort so that we have a working and effective council that really impacts policy in the Renters Council. And so special welcome to the new members here today. Every time that we have a convention meeting or a change, we know that that's the time that we get to grow a bit. And so without you guys coming in and signing up, there probably wouldn't be much, hey, what's going on with the Renters Council? So every new member here plays a tremendous part. And when you get to meet folks and learn folks and tenant unions close to you and organizations next to you and see how you can get involved, or just show up to the meetings and really be the voice for renters in your area. And so we wanted to say welcome and thank you for coming. Up next is the Central Region Report. And so being this is a 2025 convention, I'm also the Central Region Vice Chair for the California Democratic Renters Council. The chair is currently involved in some high-level meetings, trying to ensure that there's funding coming to organizations like PICO, Housing Now, and public advocates with foundations and philanthropy, and making the case. And she's really amazing at it, and she will join us as soon as she can. In the meantime, you guys are stuck with me. So I do want to talk a little bit about something that we've been seeing here immediately after the disastrous 2024 November elections for many of us. The real estate lobby, and we've learned, and CAA, the California Apartment Association, does not stop their campaign. These people are employed full-time, and their job is to thwart and undermine anything that can be looked at as protections for renters, maybe even keeping single-family homes intact. They're not thinking about that. That doesn't come across. They're only thinking about that bottom line and bottom dollar. And when we think about, the most affected is our children. And so that helps me caveat a little bit into we have the presence of somebody that I find has been very essential to one of our colleague caucuses, the Children's Caucus. Madam Chair Sarah Roos is here, and I just wanted to acknowledge you today. And we know that you care, and you're the right person for the job over there. We've been really happy. If you have a couple words to say, I just wanted to take a brief second.
No, I really appreciate being here. It's really nice. It's really interesting. It's really great to hear serious conversation, and I really enjoyed the discussion. It's just it's a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, and so in the Central Region, as we've moved out of that election result, the CAA and the lobby have now really turned their sights on, well, they have already done this, but they really started focusing on not only defeating legislation that's going to hurt them, but actually attacking the grassroots movements that we kind of expected that maybe here in the Central Valley, maybe the agriculture industry would have stayed clear from the interest of real estate in the CAA. But what we've learned is that they have teamed up in many cases attacking grassroots organizations at the very core in the communities through their realtors and brokers, because they got a direct line to the community. And I find that just despicable. And so when you guys hear about organizations who are supporting tenants, who are supporting things like rent control and tenant unions, that when you start hearing some negative talk and these folks are doing the good work, very little of the time do community members feel informed enough, besides the tenant unions and community organizers, to speak up and defend them. And I can tell you one of the best ways that we can help the movement is to, if we just let them say their piece without correcting the record and letting them create a kind of Trumpist style messaging, and which they have been totally using and during the last election was effective, then we're going to find a little bit harder and harder as we go. And so I think we all understand that here. And I just wanted to say that I don't want to give too much out, but in the Central Valley, we are deeply engaged with the community and in defending several of the organizations who have been standing up for renters and renters' rights against these realtors and CAA cronies. And at sometimes we'll see them in spaces like social media or, trying to discredit members of this or members or community organizations who are fighting for renters. So that's a reality that's happening. And so what does that tell us? That tells us that the California Renters Council is actually being effective, right? We have a scorecard that our candidate for Northern Vice Chair, Annie, has been curating and really pushing forward. And I wanted to say that has really helped us hold electeds accountable. One of the biggest tools that we have here is this endorsement process, right? And it's only as good as this body is. And so in recent time, I think this has been the only body who has actually gone back and publicly rescinded endorsements that we provided because they did not follow what they've committed in their questionnaire. Questions usually include things like, do you support the repeal of Costa-Hawkins? Do you support tenant protections? Or are you supportive of removing the Ellis Act? And things like that. And so when local electeds lie to get an endorsement and get elected, but then when it comes time to deliver, when they're sitting on the dais and voting, they just totally turn their back on us because maybe we didn't have a dollar figure big enough for them. Unfortunately, what we have is people, and people who daily are struggling to find a way to make ends meet. And so with that, we have several campaigns planned they're already starting for 2026 in different cities. Again, we've learned that loose lips sink ships sometimes, and so we're keeping those kind of tight, but the work is happening in the ground, and there's going to be several cities who are going to be looking at new tenant protections, and hopefully we win most of them. And so with that, that concludes my Central Region report. Next up is Northern Region report. Do we have somebody here Is Igor on? And if not, Annie, maybe? Yeah, Igor's on. Okay, Igor, you have the floor. I love your background. I'm with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Apologies for being late. I'm coming from office hours in my council district of Berkeley. I wanted to just start by really thanking all of you. You are the front lines of making sure California continues to be a place that we can all call home, or becomes more of a place we can all call home. And I don't know if Francisco had a chance to present yet, but there are 5 priority bills that we must support. And I will add one bill that we must oppose. I will add it now. It is also a bill that Condemned Renters Council is opposing, as are a number of tenants' rights organizations, including ACE Action. That bill is Assembly Bill 942, written by a former Edison Electric executive who is now in the Assembly Member Calderon. What this will do is break solar contracts. This will, in particular, impact negatively multifamily housing. It will make multifamily housing with solar more expensive, and that will be passed on in the rent it will also make nonprofit affordable multifamily housing more expensive. That can't be passed on to tenants as rents, but it will pretty much ensure that a lot of affordable housing that otherwise could be built is not going to get built. So in addition to supporting the other bills on the Assembly and Senate floor, please call your legislator in opposition to AB 942. I wanted to, since this is the first time we're meeting since the last November's election, I just wanted to share a couple of bright spots, at least in, well, there are actually two cities. There is, I believe, Corte Madera that had a challenge to its rent control ordinance and was able to hold the line. And it remains the only jurisdiction in the northern Bay Area to have rent control, but hopefully will not be the last. In Berkeley, we overwhelmingly, despite a lot of big money thrown against us by the landlords, confusing voters with a countermeasure, we defeated the countermeasure. We passed Measure BB, and Measure BB, among other things, further stabilizes rent increases and gives tenants the right to organize. And I hope this is something that others are able to pass in their jurisdiction. We have Alfred Twu here, who also was elected to the Berkeley Rent Board. And so please reach out to either Alfred or me. We would be happy to send you more information about that. And hopefully you can do this in your own jurisdiction as well. I will also note that Berkeley recently passed the strongest ordinance yet to control the, I'm gonna say allegedly, because RealPage is suing us right now over this ordinance, and I don't wanna get sued personally. Allegedly, RealPage is engaging in collusive acts that are artificially driving up the price of housing. And we passed the strongest ordinance yet in the nation to stop RealPage from doing that, which is why we're being sued by RealPage. But I am very confident that we will prevail. And I know everyone else is watching us right now. We must prevail so that others are able to follow suit and pass their own version of an ordinance. And I have template legislation for that I'm also happy to share with all of you. I will put my contact info in the chat. Lastly, this is going to be my last meeting of the Cadem Renters Council as an officer of the Renters Council. It has been an honor to work with the incumbent slate really since the beginning, since we started this council. And I'm very grateful to President Perez-Ruiz and all of you for this honor. And I am delighted that Annie Koruga is running for my seat. They will do a fantastic job. Thank you again, and all power to the people. We will prevail.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Igor, I think you'll always have a space at the honorary board for the California Democratic Renters Council, because yeah, you've been there since the beginning, and I know you're not going to leave the council. You're just you have other responsibilities now on Berkeley, and you're doing your fight there too. And as we know, when the crazy right refers to tenant protections and things that help the working class, they always refer, that is Berkeley style rent control. And so luckily we have somebody like Igor there And the real page damage that's going on, and another piece there is that they've been collecting more information than the government does, but there's nobody regulating them. This is a real threat, not only to our existence in a home, but our personal medical records and things like that. And which is why I'm going to take a little step to the side, because I see our good friend and immediate past organizer with the California Democratic Party, Yolanda Chacon, who really helped us turn the tide in many places. And she has a very powerful testimony that I think everybody will understand why I'm inviting her to just briefly share her quick story. And we're with you, and we're fighting with you, and we love you, Yolanda. You have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you. Oops, sorry. Thank you, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say that last year, in the middle of campaigning time, I was diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer, and now I'm on, Social Security. I can't work, and with the rents going so high, even myself, like, where can I live? And it's really, and the farm workers. I'm from Delano. Within the summer when it's so hot and they lose days of work, in the winter when it's so cold, or it's all raining and wet and mushy, you can't go in, even though they work in extreme conditions all the time. My community, we're on the verge of being homeless. Even myself, a working person who has been a, lifelong organizer, 35 years with the AFL-CIO, with, hotel restaurant unions, the farm worker. We're fighting for our lives, and that is nothing but the truth. Because, we're not getting raises, but even county workers and the unions, we're fighting, just to get, you can't even get a cost of living increase when the gas and our milk and the eggs and everything else is up. And then with our Social Security, like, how can we live? We desperately need the rent control, and we don't need it Berkeley style. We need it the style that's going to protect working people and keep us in our homes. I like I said, once, you don't, from one day to another, you don't know what's going to change your life, and you're being able to work, having a steady income, even if you're a middle income or low income, having the income. And then when you get sick and you can't, it's devastating. It's very devastating. And where else can you go? The rent is in our small communities. We have so many people that move in so that they can commute to where they work, because they can't afford to live in the cities where they work. So this is really, critical, and we're going to call all of our neighbors and our friends to, educate them and to get them involved, because it's up to us. Nobody's going to save us. And in some of these legislators, we got to call them out, because they say they're with us, and then they get there and they don't vote for us. They don't vote for the community, for the working people who elect them. So, I just want to keep it short and sweet, but, cancer is scary. And I know there's a lot of other people, working people, young and old in my age, that we're going through, different things that impact our life. And, having a home and a roof over your head is like critical. So that's all. Thank you so much. I don't want to take much more of your time. Thank you. And I'll be looking forward to, when I come back, working side by side next to many of you. Okay. And keep that CSIP with it going. Thank you.
You're coming back, because I'm putting
I'm
tobacco
coming back.
down.
I got work to do.
Continue
I got work
my
to do.
prayers, Yolanda. And just to highlight too how important it is that we support employers with unions and that are supporting worker rights, because when Yolanda became sick, the party didn't just let her go as a temp employee. They kept her on and allowed her to use the insurance so she can continue her treatment. And I got to tell you, so I'm proud to be a part of this body. I know that we've been getting a lot of hits. And so gracias, Yolanda. And I will see you actually in a couple of days, or tomorrow.
I just want to say that I'm so anxious to see many of you there at the convention. And you know what? Our party gave me dignity. It was a job with dignity, because they cared and they looked out and they were there, and that's the kind of party I want to belong to. That's the kind of party for the people, right? Power to the people. And that's us. We're going to make it weak or strong. So I look forward to seeing you all at the convention. And
Thank
thank
you,
you for your
Yolanda.
prayers and support.
Thank you. I kind of messed up a little bit. I was gonna go to Esther and then go north and then south. And so we'll go to Esther then for the Central Coast update. Hint, hint, there might be some bylaw changes to bring some more representation to the Renters Council's region. I'm not saying more than that. Hopefully moving forward, this is not something we're talking about today, but I know that people have been saying that. And so then Monica to cover the Sacramento region, and then we're gonna go down south to Susie Shannon, Larry Gross, and Yesenia. So, okay. Esther, Central Coast report, and it's been tough, I know.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. You know, it's so scary to hear stories like Yolanda's. It really breaks my heart every time that I hear something like that, and unfortunately, it's too often. I want to start off by saying thank you to Igor and to Larry for everything that they've contributed to this council. We're definitely going to feel miss their knowledge, and I'm sure they'll be there for us still. But I know that Igor has been a big supporter of mine from the very beginning, and all the board members. You know, we all, you know, have our own knowledge that we bring to this, and I just wanted to acknowledge that they will be missed. So what's going on in the Central Coast? I'll tell you, after the election, my area happened to have been one of the bright spots because we had won, you know, some really good seats, and we had a lot of good progress. And unfortunately, some of that has been undone. But, you know, the fight goes on. So I'll start off with that. The city of Salinas passed 4 renter protection ordinances, and they passed unanimously with the board, with the city council members that they had. And unfortunately, all the lobbyists poured $1 million into this small towns campaign and displaced all but one of the city council members that passed that ordinance. And they came back and repealed all of them. So we've been dealing with that, and the CAA has actually been attending these council meetings. And I've been calling them out because they came out to thank them. And I basically said, well, you know, they should be thanking you for the money you gave them so that they could be sitting there now. But they had actually put the strongest rent control in place. So it's disheartening, and hopefully it's not going to set a pattern for our area, because we were making some progress. For example, the city of Monterey had created a renter assistance program specifically from their own budget, so that it would be able to help anybody that needed help, and it wouldn't be strapped by the HUD parameters. And that's a program that is still, you know, going forward, and we're hoping to expand. We have a fantastic mayor that's very, very aware that the majority of the residents in the Monterey County are renters, and he listens. We also have in the city of Monterey a bright spot that we are creating a project that will bring about 100% affordable units to the city. And I worked on that for a couple of years, and it was hard, but once we got a new mayor, it became very easy. So that's going forward. It's going to be built on city property. So that's how we did it. And now that's being looked at as a model by other cities surrounding us, that if they have, you know, property that they can work with a nonprofit developer, we can actually get more than the standard 20% inclusionary that most cities have. So that and the rental assistance program are both being talked about throughout the whole county now that we've actually done it and gone forward with it. And so I've also been meeting with the County Board of Supervisors. I've been meeting with them individually. I have solid years long relationships with many of them. And we had a candidate win that basically gave us the majority on the county also. So we're looking forward to making some real progress at the county level. And you know, it's going to be a fight. I worry that the Trumpers have, you know, are feeling empowered, and they are coming after, you know, all of our elected officials. Our mayor is the first. He's a young mayor. He's the first millennial. He's Black and he's gay, and they have been relentless going after him. They've all gotten empowered, and they don't have any hesitation to just be full on nasty about, you know, whatever values that they don't agree with. And hopefully it's not going to get worse than it was, because we just came out of the worst election cycle that we've ever had, with the lies and the corruption and stuff like that. So sadly, I have to end on a bad note. But thank you all for being here. I really appreciate the effort that everyone's making to, you know, keep the fight going.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's ending the chapter on a bad note, but the continuance is going to be on a positive note, because right now we're seeing this groundswell of folks stepping up. Unfortunately, maybe a little bit too late for the 2024 election, but not too late for every election coming forward. And yeah, that's been nuts. We all took. I was talking to Susie, and who will give a Southern California report here shortly, but we all kind of took a beating, and we're still kind of recovering from it. I feel like this is like, my friends have called me, and you know, the chair, I said, you know what, I just want to walk out, you know, and just kind of verbalizing it. And you know, she organized all you folks around me, and next thing you know, we're putting together graphics and kind of bouncing back and telling us, no, we need to do this, because this is where our experience has brought us. We not, you know, this is it. So I don't want to take too much time, because I'm gonna get sobby, but I want to allow our Sacramento member at large, who's been doing amazing work organizing tenants, and now a job at the Capitol, who gives us a lot of insight as to what's going on, Monica Madrid. If you would give your report.
Hi, everybody. I think Eddie gave a good report on where the state of renters are. So I don't really have anything to add on terms of the statewide level. But I did want to talk about Sacramento, because we in Sacramento County have some very problematic elected officials who oftentimes will, without being held accountable, support Republicans over Democrats on the city council and school board race, city council, school board, and obviously county supervisors races. And the reason why I bring that up is because tenant protections haven't really been a focus trying to get anything passed, because of the fact that we now have a Republican majority. I'm going to repeat that, a Republican majority county supervisors, because of people like Councilmember Darren Suen from Elk Grove, Mayor Bobby Singh Allen, Assemblymember Stephanie Nguyen, all supporting Republican Pat Hume, who is also a landlord, and brags about being a landlord, on the county supervisors in Sacramento. So we need to recruit, and that's the thing that we're working with the Sacramento County Democratic Party, is identifying candidates to run for that seat, as well as any future seats that are up. Like, we have another seat that we also have a Dem majority voter registration, but there's a Republican in there, and that's the and then our Sheriff Jim Cooper as well. And then and so that race, unfortunately, went uncontested in 2024, but we're hoping to, with the Sacramento County Democratic Party, contest that race and find a candidate next election cycle when it comes up. And that's for District 3 on our county supervisors, which is currently on with Rich Desmond, who's a Republican as well, and he's awful. I think with that, like at the county level, we're not able to get anything passed for tenant protections. With the Elk Grove City Council level, they say they're a majority Democrat, but I just named like several Elk Grove City Council members who have actually like went out and endorsed Republicans over Democrats in city council races and take money from the realtors and apartment associations. I then go to the city of Sacramento. Unfortunately, we lost our biggest champion in Katie Valenzuela, who was really pushing renters' rights in the city, despite knowing that we probably weren't going to get the votes out of the Law and Legislation Committee. And the Law and Legislation Committee at the time when she was in office consisted of CAA and CAR cronies with council member Lisa Kaplan and council member Eric Guerra, who would consistently vote down our bills, or our, not bills, but our ordinances that would give tenant protections. And Lisa Kaplan is up for re-election. So if anyone lives in North Natomas that wants to run for her seat, definitely something that I think people would be interested in getting involved in. It's something we're talking about with the Sacramento County Democratic Party as well. And there's just been attacks on not just renters, but housing overall. The city of Sacramento had passed this ordinance, Measure O, a few years back, which is horrible. It criminalizes being unhoused. And right now the city council, or the district attorney is really like going hard on like going after homeless encampments. And with our new mayor, former assembly member Kevin McCarty is also supportive of that. We also have a council member, Phil Pluckybaum, who took over Katie Valenzuela's seat and has actively said he opposes rent control and opposes a repeal of Costa-Hawkins. So unfortunately, we need to get him out as well. And then I think council member Rick Jennings, who is just kind of there and votes with the majority of whoever is on, who is like majority vote with the council. He's also up for re-election, and I'm not sure if he's running again, but that's something that the Sacramento County Democratic Party is looking into. So yeah, I'm definitely like seeing how we can get involved on elections, because I think right now elections are what's going to get Sacramento to get tenant protections, because right now, like realistically, we don't have the votes to get anything passed at the city or county level. And I wish I had a better report, but unfortunately, we have a landlord as the mayor of Sacramento.
Thank you for that, Monica. You bring up a good point in monitoring the chat. We are noticing that that's been a trend, not just there, but across the state. Unfortunately, we see Siskiyou County, we see the Bay, some parts in the Bay Area that, not surprisingly, Fremont, and but our job here is like super important. And also another thing on the chat, which has just been concerning, and we know that teachers and the teacher assistants have been really struggling. These are the people that we depend on to educate our children. And as we know, education isn't a part of the far right's expectation of how politics should work. And with that, I want to say that I'm going to ask our very own SoCal and one of my mentors around housing advocacy and understanding how the system works and how to be better effective, who actually created the DNC Poverty Council, which talks about our issues at the federal level, and hopefully, you know, that has been making an impact on those dollars that come back to our states, even though California is a donor state supporting those far right states, as you guys might all know. And I'm just honored to introduce Susie Shannon to give our SoCal report. Susie. You have
Oh,
the
great.
floor.
And Yesenia really should be giving it though, since she's the SoCal vice
Oh,
chair. But,
she was having the microphone on hers was going in and out, and she said,
oh, okay.
hopefully Susie can help it.
Okay,
Help
yeah,
Susie.
I guess I could do that, but thank you. Hi, everyone. So I guess I would start this report with where are people supposed to live? The average cost of a two-bedroom apartment right now for the city of Los Angeles is $3,742 a month, which means that you need to be making over $100,000 not to be rent burdened to rent one of the apartments that are at market rate in the city of LA. This is why people really need help. If someone works at Target or at Starbucks or any place where they're making what is supposed to be even a living wage, they still can't afford the rent. And so this is really why we are doing all of our organizing to lower these rent increases, to call on our elected officials and on the Democratic Party to end what is this craziness, to end what is unconscionable when students have really nowhere to live, even like in their fourth year of college, because the rents are so high, and really all over California. We have seen, mainly it's the California Apartment Association has taken over our state legislature. So Larry talked earlier about AB 246, which was a bill that we had just to help people who were impacted by the fires here in Los Angeles, to have a modicum cap of 3% on their rent, actually in the whole county. And that we couldn't even get that through. We got it through committee. We couldn't even get it through a floor vote. And CAA has launched an incredible attack against Senator Aisha Wahab, who you may know is the chair of the Senate Housing Committee. They have created a website against her that was in Politico today, that they are contacting her constituents, and they've launched this terrible campaign against her. At the local level, what CAA has done is they have targeted some of our local elected officials who are the biggest champions for renters' rights, including John Nolte in Pomona, who lost his reelection campaign. In the city of Claremont, they got in some council members, and then they ended what was a huge campaign to create a rent registry there. And obviously, we really need the rent registry, to make sure that landlords are actually following the law, and are registering basically what they are charging for rent, so that we can see that they're not increasing them at a rate that's illegal. But also to make sure that we can reach out to tenants to let them know what their rights are. So all of this is really under attack, and it's going on nationally. A lot of these corporate developers are actually international. So they're taking the model that they have created here, and they're trying to export it to England, to Norway, to all of these European countries now, because it's worked so well here. And they have been able to literally buy off these politicians by giving money, not just to their campaign funds, but to special funds that these elected officials create, which are called ballot measure committee funds. And they're dumping in, upwards of $500,000 into these accounts. So this is what we are up against. And as I've said many, many times before, I say this about our unhoused community, I say this about low-income renters. If they don't have the Democratic Party standing up for them, who do they have? So this is why it's so, so important that we are pushing our party at the same time that we are pushing these elected officials. It is absolutely unacceptable for our elected officials to be in the pocket of landlords when the majority, I guarantee you, the majority of their constituents are not landlords. It may be the majority of the people who give money to their campaign coffers are landlords, but not the majority of their constituents. And we need to stop making it easy for them to get endorsements in our party, and stop making it easy for them to basically make renters invisible in terms of all of the work that's being done in Sacramento. Enough is enough, right? So I will leave it at that. I hope that, I mean, there's going to be a lot of organizing this year. We have, obviously, what's going on nationally is criminal as well. And so we're going to need a lot of help this year, you know, for everyone, you know, for at the federal level, at the state level, and at the local level. So thank you for being part of this council. And
Thank you. Thank you, Susie. And I wanted to tell, I just got a message from our Madam Chair, and welcome our fearless leader, who's been not only ensuring that we've had a caucus, but ensuring that there's actually resources for us to do some of the work, because printing and ads and getting people on the floor and people to Sacramento isn't usually free, because our folks need help with transportation and housing sometimes. And she asked me to finish this portion of the meeting, and then she reminded me of the time, and so we're getting close. I hope that we get to finish, but because we do have a candidate election, and this is important, my son's texting me that I need to go pick him up, and don't forget, but this is literally so important that I'm sure we're gonna get to hear all the candidates who are running for the board. Lastly, if we had a member at large in SoCal to conclude the business portion of the meeting, ready to give a report, and I know that Larry Gross has always been yes.
Yeah. So first of all, I did want to say that I'm not going to be running for re-election, but it's not because I don't love this council. I'm just very busy, and I'm not going anywhere. And Susie will make sure of that. But if anybody wants to say thanks, the best way to say thanks is to endorse the slate that is running, that's behind Art's background there, to ensure that this council continues to fight for the rights of tenants. There's a lot of people, both in the party and out, who are trying to get into the on the board, who don't have renters' interest at heart. And so we need to make sure that this council stays on course and be a strong advocate for renters. And the best way you can ensure that is by voting for the rents too high, still too high slate, and ensure that those people get elected. So very briefly, the other thing, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still a regional director, and I'm going to be. I think I'm the only regional director that comes to these meetings. So you might want to talk to your regional director. They should be involved in this and attend these renter councils. Some little bit of good news. Since we last met, I believe Los Angeles and city and county have taken steps to protect tenants. Both the city and the county have passed a right to organize, a right to counsel amendments to ensure that tenants are able to defend evictions in the courts and have representation. So that's good news. The city of LA also, in addition to having a rent control law, expanded the protections of tenants to those who are not in rent controlled units by passing a just cause ordinance. So now in the city of Los Angeles, every renter, whether they're under rent control or whether they're in a single family dwelling, whether or not they're protected by the California Tenant Protection Act, now have just cause eviction protections. So that was a huge victory. The other thing I did want to mention is that my organization, Coalition for Economic Survival, has been working with a number of the LA City Council members who are putting on tenants' rights clinics like we do every Saturday morning via Zoom, but they're doing it for their constituents, and they basically turned over that presentations to us. So we're able to reach their constituents and give them information about their rights and trying to get them involved in fighting to expand those rights. And the two council members right now that we're doing that for is LA City Council member Imelda Padilla and Dream Nazarian. And we just did one with Councilwoman Padilla in Panorama City last week. So there's some good stuff, but we need to do a lot more. And that's the way to do it, is to ensure that those people get reelected and elected to ensure that this council keeps fighting for renters in the state. So that's it.
Thank you so much for the work you do. People might not know this, but Larry's involved on the ground with tenants, and there's a major campaign there, and I'm sure he'll share some details on the chat that will help describe that local fight that's going on, and it's repeated. Before I hand it over to Madam Chair and move to the next portion of this meeting, I want to recognize, so for I sit on the finance committee, and I've gotten to see some of the work that goes there. I've always kind of wondered what happens like in the party's finance committee. And to be honest, I have been pleasantly surprised to know the level of inclusion and efforts to ensure that all Democrats have an opportunity to participate in the Democratic Party. And I just want to recognize Madam Chair Carolyn Fowler, who is joining us here today. And she's been steadily, coming to the meetings, and as well as Igor has highlighted, I think I'm going to go back on this. We got our own DNC member, Keith Aramoto, and the Honorable Cheryl Sudith here. And I want to respect everybody's time. And at the end, I'm sure.
And Annalisa Swan. Sorry, I should have included her as well.
Thank you for joining. With that, I honor the privilege that Madam Chair has allowed me and trusted me with running the meeting for the time that I did. And with that, I'm going to hand over the gavel to Madam Chair Mari Perez-Ruiz.
Thank you, Vice Chair Arturo Rodriguez. Appreciate you stepping up in my absence. Glad to join you. Sorry that I'm coming into the space. But I'm excited to take the next half of the meeting. I think that this is where we're going to be able to pass it on to the board who's running, so they can share a little bit about why it's important, that we be reelected. Alfred, if you would please provide us, start us with an overview of our election process, just to provide some clarity for some folks who are coming in or did not get to see the email or the postings, and then we're going to go ahead and give the candidates some time to share why it's important that you exercise your right to vote for folks that are going to be leading us for the next couple of years.
Sure, thank you. So we are electing our board for the 2025 to 2027 term. And everyone who's a member, keep an eye out for 2 emails sometime later tonight. One of them will come from MailChimp, and it will have a recording of this meeting, so you can catch up on candidate speeches. It will also have a link to the candidate questionnaires. Candidates were given the opportunity to send in a questionnaire that was due yesterday. So everybody who got one in before that, you'll get their answers. And then you'll also get a second email from OPA-Vote, and that will be the link to actually vote. So keep an eye out for those 2. If you don't get them, please let us know. And next we're going to hear from the candidates. Let me bring up the candidate list here. All right, so as you can see, the only contested election we have is for the member at large. There are 7 people who have filed: Robert, Pralatai, Esther, Sean, Monica, Yesenia, and Barisha. And there are 5 seats available. So I'll hand this back over to our chair, and we'll hear from the candidates.
Thank you. We have, I think we allocated 3 minutes, if I'm correct. And we're gonna start with
Esther's the first one who has filed, who is present here. Robert and Pralatai are not here.
Okay. Does he have access to is he able to be on the mic?
Esther? Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah,
Esther?
Of course I have to go first when I'm the worst about speaking about myself. Well, anyway, thank you for the opportunity to address everybody. I know quite a few of you, and I appreciate all the support that I've gotten over the years. Arturo mentioned earlier that when I first came on this council, I had already been dealing with the real page issue that was going on, and working with elected officials on getting them educated on it, because none of them knew about it. And I also was really heavily involved in getting the renter vote out. I've done a lot of education and outreach to empower the voters, the renters, to understand that their vote matters, and especially in cities that have a majority of renters, which pretty much almost all in the county of Monterey are. So I've been, at this point, working on housing advocacy for about a decade, and it's all volunteer work, aside from my regular day paying job that I just got laid off from, but that's another story with corporate America. But I really started working on affordable housing, and I realized early on that when everybody, especially candidates and elected officials, talk about supporting affordable housing, they just use that term, affordable housing, and that they support it. But I realized that they were only talking about building, and they have to really address it with more specifics. And so I ended up kind of creating my own lane in this area and became the voice of renters, because there's no way that we can talk about affordable housing without addressing the unaffordable rents. We can't build fast enough, and we can't continue to have more and more people become homeless or leave our areas because all they want to do is talk about building more without addressing what's going to take care of the issues that need addressing now. So I kind of really took that conversation to all my elected officials, because nobody was having it with them. And so I've worked also with the National Low Income Housing Coalition quite a bit. And, Housing Now, even when I first got involved with attending their meetings and stuff, nobody was talking about renter votes. And now, luckily, people are, addressing it, because, you need to talk about the renter vote. The problem is that they just aren't empowered and educated enough. So that's what I've spent my time doing. I've, done teletown halls with Housing as a Human Right, and I've spoken on panels and done webinars and a variety of other things. And I really hope that I get reelected, because this council is very important, and we've done a lot of good work this cycle.
All right. Next, let's see. Next on our list, we have Sean Danino. don't think Sean Danito is here. So we will go on to our next person, Monica Madrid.
Hi, everyone. I'm Monica Madrid. I've been lucky to have served on this board for the past 4 years as an at-large member. I'm running again to be member at large. I think it's really important that Sacramento has a voice on the council. As you can see, we're heavily LA and Bay Area focused, which is great because renters are huge over there. But we definitely need voices for some of our smaller areas, especially Sacramento, because we are the capital. Yet we tend to have, we actually have the worst renter protections in the state of California. So I'm currently a state policy advocate with the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, also known as CHIRLA, and we are part of the Keep LA House Coalition. So my colleague Lupita and our organizers in LA do a lot of pro-tenant work in LA. On a statewide level, I'm a state advocate, policy advocate, so I actually am the one who writes the support or who signs us onto the support letters for AB 1157. I did a Me Too in favor of AB 1157, as well as sent the opposition to AB 698, the Wicks bill that undermines ULA. And so definitely love that I'm continuing my work to help with renters. Previously, about 2.5 years ago, for about 3 years, I did work as an organizer in Sacramento for ACE, organizing tenants across Sacramento County, particularly in South Sacramento County, where there's a lot of tenants who are being abused by their landlords in Sacramento County. So this is something that I'm a renter as well. I live in Invitation Homes, one of the largest the largest corporate landlords for single family housing. So these renters issues is very important to me, and I'd love to continue doing the work on the board, despite the fact that I'm no longer organizing, but I am still working on a state level to push these policies through. And I hope to have everybody's support. And please vote for our whole slate that Arturo has with all the incumbents, and then as well as Barisha. Please vote for our slate. Thank you.
Alfred, would you present the next candidate?
Yesenia, you're next.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I was having issues. My apologies for not being on the camera, but if I turn it on, I'm gonna freeze. So good evening, everyone. My name is Yesenia Miranda Meza. I have been in the housing renters advocacy movement for 8 years now. I've dedicated 8 years of my life to this movement. I am a single parent with a single income, and it's hard out here. It's very, very hard out here to be living on a single income. Even though I make okay money, it's not the greatest, but it's hard. So for me, my passion stems for undocumented folks, our senior community, our disabled folks, our veterans, and of course myself, being a single parent, our incomes, they can't afford the rent. The rent is too damn high, as we all know. So this is a passion of mine that I have been doing for a long time. I wear many hats. I'm a member of ACE, Housing Now. Housing is a human right. I'm the co-founder of Pomona United for Stable Housing. So I've been in this movement for a very long time. It's always good when I also had the Southern California Vice Chair position with the Renters Council. So just continuing at large would be great for me to still be involved and still be able to do the work that we all collectively do in order to protect renters, to keep the rent lows, to do everything that we need to do in order for us to give our renters the best fighting chance. So please, my name, Yesenia Miranda Meza, and the slate that we have, we all work well with each other. So if you guys can vote for me, I would really appreciate it so I could continue on this council in order for me to be a voice for those that don't believe that they have a voice. I have been their voice for 8 years and I love what I do. I have a passion for it. So I think that I would be a great candidate to continue doing this work with this organization. So thank you.
All right, thank you. And next we have Barisha Spriggs. Let me turn on your mic.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'm running for the at-large seat at the Democratic, at the Renters Council because housing is a human right. As a founding member of this council, I've worked from the beginning to build power for renters and to push our party for bold, people-centered housing policy. I bring years of experience as a former elected member of the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee, former delegate to the California Democratic Party Central Committee, and a former CDP Executive Board member, also a former DNC Pleo delegate, working inside the party to get renter protections passed and endorsed. And I'm also a founding member of My Eden Voice, Eden Renters United, where I've organized along tenets to demand of just cause for housing policies and proactive code enforcement. Our work through My Eden Voice represents renters in Alameda County unincorporated communities that have especially challenging time getting renters protections passed at the Alameda County Board of Supervisors because, as talked about before, a lot of them are getting the California Apartment Association money, real estate money. So since 2018, when we started My Eden Voice, we had not been able to get renters protections. We just got basically a very minimal amount of just cause through the Alameda County housing element. But it was very much beneath what we wanted. So as a longtime organizer throughout the Bay Area, I've been building coalitions, advancing policies that center renters and working class communities. I care deeply about expanding renters' rights and strengthening rent control across California. I've worked closely with AIDS Housing now to organize direct actions, statewide mobilizations, and advocacy. I have worked externally to mobilize voters and to pass renters protection bills at the ballot box. For decades, I have fought for renters and affordable housing at every level, from local organizing to statewide campaigns like Yes on Proposition 10, Yes on Proposition 33, Justice for Renters. Even in last April, I was at the state capitol meeting with legislators and rallying in support of key bills, including the Affordable Housing Bond Act of 2026. Everything that Eddie mentioned earlier on, I was there at the Capitol lobbying and rallying for. We actually went against the California Apartment Association. We ended up at their building at a protest. So yeah, housing is a human right, and the fourth largest economy in the world. No one should be homeless, and we got to keep going and pushing for progress.
Thank you, Barisha. Alfred, how many more candidates, and should we look into extending perhaps the time for our meeting to accommodate those who still need to speak?
Yes, so that was all the at-large candidates. So the remaining ones are the 6 of us running uncontested. So I will motion to extend time by 15 minutes.
Second.
Okay,
Yes.
second, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's 15 more minutes to the clock.
All right, and Mari, you're the next one. 1 minute.
Thank you. I don't take your vote for granted. I have been working. I am someone who experienced housing insecurity as a child. I am someone who has been a renter, and my rent takes 60% of my income. So it's something that I struggle in a daily basis. My work is moved to be able to create spaces for our renters, and I began as the Alameda Renters Coalition president, and I led the city into rent control. I also led statewide for just cause tenant protections and the signing of the Tenant Protection Act. And I went down to the Central Valley and pushed for the city of Delano to lead a petition drive to bring rent control to the city of Delano. I'm very much committed. And like I said, I don't take your vote for granted. And I ask if you would consider re-electing me.
Thank you. Next up, we have Vinnie Bacon.
Thanks. Well, I kind of said it in my treasurer's report. The Treasury is rolling along smoothly. I've made it so easy to keep the Treasury going that I don't mind doing it again. But no, I've always been someone on the Fremont City Council. I fought for rent control. Sadly, I didn't get it, but I brought referrals on rent control. I've always been an advocate for tenant-friendly legislation. And I really like all you people here. I like working with you all, and would happy to keep doing that. So thank you.
Thank you. And I am next. Hi, everyone. I'm Alfred Twu. I was the founding secretary for the Renters Council and have helped keep this organization running and growing the movement. And also making sure that we get the information out there about both how the tenant legislation works and why it's needed, and fighting back against the propaganda from the other side, because we need to make it clear that while we're building new homes, we also need something to protect the people right here, right now. That needs to happen in parallel so that people who are currently struggling can stay. I currently serve on the Berkeley Rent Stabilization Board and have also worked on many of our local and state ballot measure campaigns, and look forward to continuing to work with all of you. Thank you. All right, and next we will go to Annie Koruga.
Hello. I've been proud to serve on the board these past 2 years as an at-large member, and I'm now running for Northern California Vice Chair. One of my favorite things I've done is led the effort to create scorecards that is so important to hold our legislators accountable. Some are doing great. Some are carrying really pro-tenant legislation, voting for pro-tenant legislation. But unfortunately, right, not all of them are. And we need to document that, measure that in a really fair and objective way, and then hold those people accountable who are not supporting us, who are not supporting renters. I see I have 27 seconds left. And so I do want to put a quick plug in. Always organizing for anybody who's a young Dem, so has not yet turned 36. Please join the California Young Democrats Renters Caucus. That's the newest caucus we're working on chartering. I'm going to put the link in the chat again. Please support me, and please join the CYD Renters Caucus if you are able.
Thank you. And next we have Arturo Rodriguez.
Thank you, Alfred. I just want to take this time to really acknowledge that the work with this Renters Council didn't start when we first got chartered. It actually started over 4 years before we actually got started. And when we came on, the party told us that there was a moratorium on statewide charter groups and caucuses. And so everybody that's on here in some shape, way, or form, we're part of that initial process. And so that we know that we're dedicated. There wasn't a special interest behind there definitely was a special interest against it. And so we get to see that more and more. And as more of us become individually attacked, that's letting us know that we're being effective, that the voice in the Democratic Party for renters is actually happening, that we're holding electeds accountable, that we no longer just going to be like taking them at the word, because guess what? We're paying attention to how they vote. We're paying attention to who's giving them the money and who's not showing up for renters. And we can see that now a little clearer. And I know that I'm in good company, and I'm super proud to be around these folks. And I, just like Mari said, we don't take any of this for granted. Susie has taught me that as well. And I'm just happy to be sharing this space with such amazing organizers and people. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we have Susie Shannon.
Hi, everyone. I'm Susie Shannon. I have served on the Renters Council for the past 4 years as an at-large delegate. I was there at the very first meeting of this council. I got involved with the Democratic Party simply because I didn't think the Democratic Party was doing enough for homeless and low-income communities. And I worked very hard to get a lot of language put in the platform way back in 2005. And I have to say, this Renters Council has done so much to raise the issues and the voices of people who previously were not heard. I feel very privileged to have worked among a lot of folks in the party, but definitely the Renters Council is where my heart is. I am formally a DNC member, but I'm still the chair of the DNC Poverty Council. I am a renter. I've never been anything but a renter, and I seriously doubt I'm ever going to be able to afford to buy a home or condominium anywhere in California. So that is likely where I will be for the rest of my life. So I would appreciate your vote for me for Southern California Vice Chair. I'm running unopposed, and I thank you all for coming on tonight and for helping to increase our membership to show the party that, we're just getting stronger as we go on. Thanks so much.
All right, that concludes our candidate speeches, and I'll hand this back over to our chair.
Thank you, Alfred. So now that we're done with this space, I want to create some space for announcements. And then we're going to recess. Soon after, we're going to recess, and we're going to reconvene in June 4th, Alfred, at 7 o'clock?
Mm-hmm. Or 9 o'clock. That's when we will count.
9 o'clock. Okay. So if there are any announces and that you would like to share, I'm opening to folks here if they want to. Anything that you would like to announce? Okay.
Yeah, just go ahead and raise your hand. I see Matthew Hillard.
Okay, Matthew.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. For anyone here that is a Rural Caucus member, I am running for chair. I would humbly ask for your vote. I'll put my information in the chat. And I'm a new member of this council and also a renter. And so I'm very proud to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Igor?
Thank you so much. I would like to invite you all, if you're coming to convention, to stop by our environmental caucus meeting Friday, 4:30 to 6:30. And I'm gonna, for those who missed my other chats, I'm gonna put this in the chat again. Super easy way to sign on to oppose the anti-renter, anti-housing, anti-solar AB 942 that was written by a former utility executive who's now in the assembly. Thank you. It's on the floor now. We must kill it. We will. All clean power to the people.
Thank you, Igor. Annie?
Yes, real quick, I ran out of time, but wanted to make sure I say it, I guess, on the recording. The short link for the California Young Democrats Renters Caucus sign up is bit.ly /CYD_renters, all lowercase. So there is the Google form link that I put in the chat, but if you were looking for a short link to pass around or to type in later that is easier to remember, that bit.ly link, again, bit.ly CYD_renters, all lowercase, also takes you to the same form.
Thank you, Annie. Honorable Cheryl Sudeth.
Sudeth, and yeah,
Okay.
It's okay. And Wednesday, so I think I'm honorable today. Don't ask me on Saturday. Don't know. And there's a reason why Igor and I get along, because he already told you about the environmental caucus. But I did want to say to Lisa, I'm not a renter. I've been a homeowner since grad school, but I do think it's important that homeowners support this I want to say caucus, but I know that it's not this group. And I'm especially because I have children who will want to someday be homeowners, but they will be renters at some point. And I think it's very, very important that we support these efforts. And so this one of the reasons I always come to these meetings, and I always make sure that whatever I do, I walk my talk. And I think that that's kind of why all of us have to make sure that that's what we do. And it's not just for housing bills, it's also for environmental bills. So, es todo. Thank you.
Thank you. Monica?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I just wanted to do a quick plug. It's not housing related, but if you care about immigrants, it's really important to talk to the governor, the speaker, the pro tem, and your assembly members and senators, especially if you live in Senator Akilah Weber Pearson or Assembly Member, Senator Akilah Weber Pearson or Assembly Member Don Addis's district, and speak out to your opposition to the governor's proposed cuts to Medi-Cal access for undocumented immigrants. These cuts are discriminatory. Immigrants pay about $8 billion in taxes, in state taxes alone. So these are people who are contributing to the economy, yet don't have access to basic services, and we're finally able to get access to Medi-Cal. And now the governor is proposing to not only cut it, put a cap at it, but also he's proposing to make undocumented immigrants who do have access to Medi-Cal pay these insane $100 a month premiums, as well as cutting who have access to Medi-Cal, cutting their access to IHSS. So this is something that Health for All Coalition is working on, CHIRLA, Health Access, CPEN, and California Immigrant Policy Center, SEIU. We're all working together to make sure that we can keep undocumented immigrants' rights to healthcare.
Thank you, Monica. I want to thank the Honorable Controller, Madam Controller, Carolyn Fowler for joining us. You're always here, and we see you, we recognize, and we appreciate you. Thank you for always showing up for us, letting us know that we renters play an important part of the party, and that we're not invisible, and that you got our back. So just want to thank you. I also want to thank the Children's Caucus Chair, Sarah Ruiz, who also too has been a great ally and supporter. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being present and recognizing the work that the charter organization, which what we are, is doing to bring attention to tenants, in the state of California. We're 17 million renters in California. So it's not a small number of us out there, which we got to do better in voting. I also want to say thank you to Annalisa Swan, our DNC member who is here, and I know that I always see you here. Thank you so much for also recognizing and seeing the importance that we play in bringing attention to the needs of the 17 million Californians in the state. Thank you for showing up. And also, DNC Keith, thank you for joining us, and hope that we can see you in the next meetings to come and see you more engaged with the work that we're doing. And I want to also, I want to take the space that I have a couple of seconds to thank Yolanda Serna, who is a leader, a member. She was, many know her from her work with the party, the organizing that she did in the Central Valley. And also too, very few know that she also was a key leader in getting signatures, petition signatures for the city of Delano. And so thank you, Yolanda, for being with us today and for supporting the work that we're doing. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go into recess, and we're going to resume in June 4th at 9 o'clock. That's correct, Alfred, right?
That's
okay.
Right.
All right. So hope to see you all on June 4th at 9 o'clock. Keep an eye on the emails. Appreciate you all. Thank you. Don't forget to vote.
Before we go,
your voice matters. Thank you.
We are in recess, but just to make sure, the reason we're meeting at the 9th is so that we're in compliance with CDP.
The 4th. The 4th.
The 4th. Okay.
Meeting
at
on the
9.
4th at 9 o'clock.
So that we're in compliance with the CDP rules on election of officers, and giving enough time. The reason we did that is to give enough time for the membership of this council to have time to go back and review the statements of candidates and make an informed decision, and providing just enough time so that we'll come back and read the results of open vote. Is that right, Alfred?
That's right. Yep.
And get a hold on it. Thanks.
Yeah, that's why we're not adjourning yet. We are just going on recess. All right. Thank you all for coming.
So do some of us board members want to stay on, or?
Alfred, can you remind everyone when they'll be receiving the Open Vote link so that they can vote?
Yes, it'll be sometime tonight. Once we wrap this up, I will get it sent out.
Madam Chair, I know we're in recess, but there was a hand up from Matthew just to.
The question that was just asked was my question. Thank you.
Cool. Bye.
Bye, everyone.